Well, good morning, guys. Welcome to Words from a Friend podcast. I'm your host, Marty Carey, and this is the podcast that follows my book, Words from a Friend, a daily guide to a purposeful life. It's available at Amazon.com and BarnesandNoble.com. We're on a 365-day inner journey together, so happy and grateful to have you along. We're on day 57 of that journey, and it is February 27th. Man alive. March is a couple of days away. We are on a message called the victim mentality. This is a very, very important one. The victim mentality only lives in the ego. It only lives in the ego because the soul knows who it is. The ego does not. Ego is the false self, the self we created, the earthly creation of what we've created ourselves to be thus far. Thus far, that's it. Tomorrow we can start recreating anything we want. Okay, so we're never a victim unless we choose to be. Ever. God creates no victims. God creates light. You are light. And when you tap into that light, it's a higher resonance. All your better ideas, thoughts, and gifts come from that space. And victim mentality comes from, that's a taught mentality mostly. Taught. You know, this is how I get what I need. By doing these things. I'm a victim, and the world owes me, you know, and expectations for things not earned. God doesn't work that way. We are each responsible for what we create, right? God just doesn't say, hey, you know, God helps those who help themselves in that way to rise, because God is the rise. God is the rise. It's the consciousness. It's becoming conscious of what you've created thus far and saying, how does this match up? How does this align with what God's word is? What God thinks of me? Because I may be thinking of myself as a victim. And God's going, no, my child, you are no victim. You are the light. You are a light of the world. Jesus taught us that. We too are a light of the world. We too have the power to heal ourselves and others in this light and with this light. And when I say heal, I say our minds through just resonance teaching, just teaching by example and residing in that space of your own light, learning that that's the true self. And the human self, we start remolding, reshaping to go along with what the soul wants us to do, right? The light. You know, we fight that. We fight it when it is the best way, when it is the happy, the true happy way, the lasting happiness, knowing that, you know, when this is over, I just go home. I just go home to the light, and then I could take another journey if I want to. You know, that kind of thing. It's always a soul journey. We're soul journers. I think that's what it is. Or is that just riding sojourners? That's the horse riding with the skier behind you. Not sojourning. But this is a soul journey. One of many that we have, okay? That's why we don't take things so seriously that we get lost in lack, loss, or limitation. We can get lost in those. We can get lost in feeling that we lack what it takes. We can get lost in loss, in losing someone in our lives and saying life is not worth living anymore, that kind of stuff, which is not true. It's just part of this journey. And you actually, what happens is you gain the ability through that journey to help other people that have gone through it. When you work on yourself through that and you do those things and you actually work on yourself as the project, well, now you have something to give. And now that story of yours that was nothing but tragedy, well, that can be inspiration for somebody else because you did the work on yourself to have to get through it without collapsing, without giving up, without defeat, without entering victim mentality and staying there. That's the lowest of the low, that thinking. No, you're your own hero. You have everything it takes. Everything. And God put a gift in you of creativity in some way. Whether you give that in your work or whether you've dreamed of doing that and you just said, I just don't have the time. I have no time because I filled my life with all this crap that I can't seem to get rid of. There's a lot of that. There is a lot of crap that you have to get rid of. A lot of it, a lot of times. Because we collect things in negativity. We collect, negative experiences and all that other stuff. And we swirl in it because we still feel ourselves to be the victim of it. Instead of going, God has a better plan. I better look into that. I better look into what he says about me and the fact that I can. And how can I? How can I? That's your work. That's your work, but that's also your own salvation. You're saving yourself by using the way of Jesus, right? The way, the God's way, love's way. We can just call it love's way. It's the same thing. Love's way. That way you don't get caught up in that, if I don't believe in, this or that. Love is who we really are. All of us. Every one of us. Doesn't matter the religion, the race, or any of that stuff. The costume, secondary. The costume is just for our ride, okay? Our avatar, so to speak. We're in it, but what's in here is the true self, the one that moves on, the one that knows who it is already and doesn't have to prove that to anybody. When you realize that who you are, you say, I don't have to prove that to anybody. I don't have to prove it to anybody in heaven because nobody judges me there. It's just, we all know who we are. We're all light. We're all light beings. And this is just a temporary disguise. So you keep your disguise looking good or in shape and all that good stuff because that's part of being human and part of keeping this avatar in shape. Every part of it is important. What we put our energy towards and our attention on will grow. If you put that on your rise and that is your consistent intention, my friend, you are your own hero. Don't stop. Don't ever stop. Don't ever quit. Don't ever give up. If you need a rest, take a rest, but get back on it. Get back on that fire horse this year and ride it like the wind in your own favor, whatever that is. Start it. If you've been wanting to start something and you go, I've always wanted to do that. I am going to do that before I go to the other side. You got to start doing those things. You got to start doing them. You're going to be in their own matrix. You're part of the big matrix if your attention is only on that all the time. Bless yourself. Bless yourself with peace. Bless others with that emanation of that peace. And they'll go, hey, how do you do that? You move back into your true self and trust that that's who you really are. It takes time to believe that. Maybe for some people it does. That's the journey we're on, though. We're walking each other home. And if we have a nice tidbit of gold to lend and say, you know what? This is how I found myself out of a lot of mental bullshit in my own life. I had to study myself as the project my whole life. Why do I think this way? Why do I get so afraid when a big change is coming? Why can't I just settle in? And all those things became my work because, I wanted to make this smile real in here. And I knew I was keeping it on so other people didn't know I was anxiety ridden inside. We hide. This can be a hider, this smile. But I wanted to make it real so that inside I feel that same smile. I really feel it. And I'm not just pretending it and having it once in a while, but that I live from that place. And I give from that place. If I'm wrong in something and I haven't let my ego go, I'm right up front saying, you saw what happened there, right? I let the old self out, right? The old self. That's okay. It comes out. Just let people know. I'm staying on the ride, so I'm sorry that old self came out. I'm on my own ride. And then that will be such an inspiration to people that you're strong enough to see that in yourself and strong enough to admit that I'm growing. We're always growing. It doesn't stop until we go. And then even there, you look back and you go, wow, I didn't think I grew that much. But I really did. I took command of my ship finally. It didn't happen until much later than my young self wanted it to happen, that's for sure, because God put me through some things to make that wisdom real. And that's what happens. We go through the shit of life and we gain the wisdom of the shit. There's wisdom in that shit. There is, right? We all know that. And that's the stuff we tell our kids. Listen, you know what? You don't have to go there. I've been there, and this is the things that happen. So as long as you know, I'm just trying to tell you from a place of love that this is it. But, you can't control people, but you can lend them, your wisdom. And you can say, okay, buddy, there's a better way. Sister, there's a better way. Better way to treat yourself. Much better way to treat yourself than going in that direction. Let me share that with you. Laughter and fun and just being in the flow. That's what we all really want. We just don't know how to give it to ourselves, right? But every day is it's the new opportunity God gives us to work on ourselves, and in turn, we are brightening the world by brightening our own life. It's just how it works. We're all connected. What you decide to do, what you choose to do, affects the rest, because we are all connected. So if you decide, you're watching this podcast, or you're moving in your own direction, you're in the self-help aisle at the bookstore, great. I'll tell you what, I got my education, true education, in that self-help aisle. I really did. I got my true education. I listened to hundreds. I listened because if I read, I fall asleep other than doing this. And that's why I wrote it 1 page a day. If I read more, I'd be... So, but audiobooks were my thing. So, from one traveler to another, you immerse yourself in higher thought. Immerse yourself in it as part of your day in the morning. This podcast is a great start. And if this helps you get through your day, not just get through it, but choose how you get through it and live it, actually living in it. Say, I'm living in like a TV show. And that's kind of how I approach it wherever I go. This is like another scene in a great TV show. And here's the characters here that I'm used to seeing. If I go to the hardware store, I see the same great people there. I want to laugh with them people, so I'm going to create it as soon as I see them. I try to create it so that we all get a... Right? I want to laugh too. Right? That's why funny people seem to have a better whistling Dixie life, and I've seen that. Sometimes they can cover up some stuff, but we're all broken inside somewhere. We are. But that laughter, that humor, that buzz of funny, best medicine there is. So if you can create it, people in our company, they're awesome at it. Sugar Gordon, I'm talking to you. Everybody, they're all comedians, because we all look for it. We all look for it in our organization. We want a laughter-filled place because we want that good energy going into everything we produce. That's our 50-year secret, is having fun at work. And you're going to see we're going to have more fun. We got some fun stuff coming up. Really fun. So, we appreciate you supporting our ship, our big ship. So, all right, the victim mentality. The opposite of a winning mentality is a victim mentality. This is usually a learned way of living that comes from childhood, surrounding or spending time with complaining, negative-minded people. What the victim mentality is looking for is love or constant reinforcement from outside themselves. This is, of course, the worst trap a person could find themselves in, because once they realize that those around them can no longer support the behavior, they know no other way but to ramp up the drama in order to get the attention they desire, right? That's what happens. Victim mentality is a very reactive mentality. I'm not getting what I want some way, so I'm going to lash out. I'm going to react. Instead of from the soul, we respond and go, wait a minute, the unfairness, you do that in a mindful way, boy, you get a lot better results. A lot better results than ranting and raving. Ranting and raving. How about just truth? Truth to yourself and accountability to your soul. That's truth. Accountability to your soul. And if you don't know what that is, that's your journey. That's your journey inward. Get started on it. Pick up a book about it, about the ego and how it really gets us all out of whack, because we're all just trying to do the best we can with the earthly contraption we've created from what we've been taught here, in public school. Listen, we all learn what we learn, but it was just like, there's a lot of deception in there growing up, wasn't there? Still is. So you really gotta, this is the why of God, because God is truth. We're all looking for truth, but we're all, looking for love in all the wrong places. Looking for love in too many faces. You know what I mean? Come on. Lots of false ones. Okay. All right, where did I go from here? All right, it's a vicious negative cycle that sucks the life out of the victim and those around them, like an energy vampire. Right? It's just nothing but doom and gloom, and this is what's happened to me today, and happened to me, I, mine. That's singular. That is singular, not knowing who you really are. That's what that is. It's saying I deserve it just because of this or that or the other thing. Well, let me tell you something. Your energy is kind of like just what you're going to attract, whether you like that or not, whether you like it or not. You have to be the arbiter, the purveyor of I can, in order for the stuff that you're looking for to say yes to you. Otherwise, you're pushing it away with that negative energy. You're pushing it away. You push people away, you push your opportunities away, and you push your dreams away when you act like a victim. Nope. No. You got to be your own superhero. Your own. Not waiting for somebody to make you a superhero just 'cause. Just 'cause. No. There's work involved. There's effort involved. But when you're doing something you love, the pain of the short-term pain of getting the roller coaster started is so worth it. And even the pain throughout it is just part and parcel to reaching higher levels. You're always, before you level up, you're going through something and you go, oh man, you got to get rid of some old things that have hindered the next level. And you can't be afraid to take that next level, and not everybody's going to level up with you. Not everybody's going to level up with you in this way. So it can feel lonely sometimes in that journey, right? If you're not leveling up, people around you aren't leveling up or don't want to go in that direction. God's direction is the best for all of us. For all of us. And what happens a lot of times is those people that didn't want to go in that direction all of a sudden get inspired by your direction and say, you know what? I never thought about life like this. Never heard anything like this before. If you're hearing stuff like this for the first time, fine. Fine. It's okay. We come out of that cocoon when we're ready. When we're ready. So a lot of people aren't ready. A lot of people still aren't ready. But that doesn't mean you stop. It doesn't mean you stop. Okay? You're only lowering yourself to stay in a comfort zone of other people who don't want to grow. You can't do that. You can't do that. Once you know your wings, you want to fly. Once you know your wings, you want to fly in a direction that goes inside, feels like a big yes. Big yes from above. A big yes connected to the within. And a big yes, let's do that thing. Let's go forward in that thing, in that way, or just say no to any way and say, I'm just going to settle in peace, in harmony, and I'm good. I'm just satisfied. I'm completely satisfied. Okay? That's your choice. All right? As long as it feels good inside and you can sustain yourself and, you're not harming others and taking advantage, well, there you go. Fine. It's that other stuff that comes along with victim mentality where you get shady and, you start doing crap and then you justify stuff in some, ego way. Nope. You got to be truthful. You got to be truthful to yourself. You got to have honest dealings with yourself before anyone on the outside will want to have honest dealings with you for the long haul. For the long haul. And there you don't have to be a victim because you're going to have plenty of help with whatever dream you have. Shake it off, victim mentality. Shake it off. It's not God's way for you. God will tell you, listen, you're no mistake. You are no mistake. I created no mistakes. Do what you do. Do what you do. There's a motivational speaker out there that was born with no limbs, no arms, no legs. And I don't have his name on the top of my head. But I'll tell you what. I read his book, and what an inspiration. My God. My God. If anybody deserved to have a victim mentality, this guy did. How do you live life that way? Look at Stephen Hawking. Lived life with ALS. And gave. He gave. And so did the gentleman that had no limbs. He's on stage, and he is just rocking it. rocking it. He had the whole place alive because he found his aliveness. He knew what it was. And he spread that seed. And people just sat in awe. I've sat in awe. That's inspiring as anything gets. There's people that, just common people that say, I'm not giving into that victim mentality. I am no victim. And I refuse to let that liar get the best of me in here. The best of me. That's really important. The best of me is not live in the ego. The best of me is right here in the center of me. My center. That's why I like to stay centered. That's where I offer my best. That's why when you stay conscious in that, if somebody else is in argument mode, you can stay perfectly calm. And chances are you'll be the whisperer in that moment, and the other person will feel that calm and go, I really don't have to get this riled up, you know? But if I got riled up with them, the fire starts to burn. You get it? The energy agrees. So negativity agrees. Woo, that's the wildfire that starts. Woohoo! Goes places, and then other people agree, and next thing you know, you got yourself a mob. You're part of a mob, an angry mob. I'd rather be part of a laughing, fun journey. So, and you're the creator of that. You're the creator of your personal world, and you are the molder, shaper of it. Okay, take charge of that. Take charge of it. Okay, you are that light giver for yourself and your own life. Take charge. Okay, remember that life is like a mirror, and it gives back the reflection you are presenting to it in every moment. You're watching yourself get angry in that mirror. You're watching yourself get out of control. And did you have to, or are you just, it's what you always do? And you're just going, this is the way I am. Anybody doesn't like it, they can get the hell out of my, you know. But then you come back from that and you go, yuck. I didn't really want to go there. I didn't. It caused a lot of havoc, mostly in me, for the rest of the day, because I go, you know, I let that son of a bitch get the best of me again. And you know, if you start thinking like that, that's when you start mastering yourself. Not that you're calling yourself a son of a bitch. You're saying, listen, take the back seat. Love's got a better way. Love is calm, you know. It's like the Corinthians, you know, because I've done a couple of weddings. I got that online minister's license so I could marry a couple of people. My buddy Tommy Blake's daughter, Ashlyn, who's like a daughter to me herself. And then I was able to marry James and Audrey Pettit before Audrey passed. Both honors. But in doing that, you know, I found a lot of joy in doing that. And I was able to find a different part of myself in doing that, in allowing that self to be seen, in doing that was kind of vulnerable for me too. You know, I think I got off track there somewhere. I don't know if I went down to when I start speaking about that stuff, I get a lot. So sorry. Anyway, where did I go with that? All right. You can only break the victim mentality by loving yourself first and giving it away freely in the form of positive speech and actions. Your behavior. Your behavior. Do you have control of your own behavior? Or are you just wield it any way your emotions dictate? Because we are not our emotions. We have emotions, but we are not our emotions. So becoming our emotions is us not knowing we have control over them, or, you know, that we can have another avenue to take, a different emotion. We can replace that emotion with truth, honest, just humble truth. Humble truth. A lot of times, you know, when you're out of control, you are just saying, God, I got a better way than you. God, I got a better way than you. You know what it's going to be? It's going to be yelling and screaming. That's my better way. Right? We've all been there, telling God we got the way. And then all of a sudden we're like, God, what did I do? And then you're asking God for forgiveness, right? The people in front of you should be, right? If you just left God out. Ego, edging God out. Edging God out. But before, let's see, where are we today? 24, okay. It will change you from a vampire. An energy vampire, just sucking the life out of yourself and then in turn unwittingly sucking the life out of other people, because we all feel each other's energy. We all feel it. And so if you're just constantly out of control, you're going to be like a buzzing time bomb floating around wherever you go, right? And everybody feels it. So what do you want to be? How do you want to be felt? Does it not matter how we affect others? It matters how we affect others, because ultimately that affects our whole life, because that's our world. That's our world, right? Whether it's work or whatever. So take control of the ship, take control of the thought life. Which is your mindset. And there is a difference between your higher mindset and your lower mindset. When you learn those differences, you live the difference. And it's like every day, a little bit better, and all of a sudden you're in it. You're living in it as it. Okay? That's how we embody. How do we embody that? Well, you're already it. So you have to embody the knowing that you are already it. It goes beyond belief. Oh yeah, I know my soul is in there somewhere, and it goes on like a little white ball, and nope. Your astral body is like, you'll be recognized in heaven like that, but that's your real body, your forever body, so to speak, your astral body, and you can get into different things, and this is just one of them. This is just my astral body for this journey. Okay, and it's balding in the back, and it's gray in the front. I can't wait for AI to come up with some new hair solution. Still waiting for that. For nano. We're still waiting for nano. Come on. Bring out the cures. How about that? Cures. How about that? All right, we've been waiting long enough. It's 10 years off. We're only 10 years off to cures. It's been a bunch of bullshit, hasn't it? No. There's cures. There's absolute cures. So at any rate, CTA, practice not complaining about anything for a day, and see the things that you would have said and done, and you will be aware if you are Dracula, the energy vampire, to others, or a magnet for the good stuff of life. Your energy draws to you your circumstances. They do. If you're a jackass, and you go in with that energy, you're going to twang people who just want, to do their thing. You're going to put people off. And you go, I know there's a lot of people that don't care. That's like their sport. That's their sport. But who wants to be around that? Not many. Not many. Not here. Not here. No, you don't. That's where you draw the line. Is I want to be around just mellow, cool, creative, kind, people that are good to each other, and people that just get that, as that's what's most important. That's what's most important, other than all the crap we see on TV, and we're jib-jabbing about that all the time. You should ask your neighbor how they've been, that kind of stuff. The way it used to be before amplified politics got the better of all of us, and we agreed to hate each other. We agreed to it by, millennia of propaganda. We should be mad at that, at the system that makes us hate each other. It's an ego-driven system. Ego-driven. That's what we're changing. And that's what we're also saying. I'm not waiting. I'm not waiting. I'm just going to live there, I'm just going to live there, because that's who I choose to be for this ride. That's taking charge. That's saying no to the bullshit and saying yes to the life I want to live and the person I want to be, above all the fray of drama and needless suffering. Needless, because it's just force-fed to us. And we're emotional beings, so we just suck it in like a sponge. You have to have emotional maturity to realize when we're being fooled by energy. Fooled. Okay? So, your heart and that resonance to God is the way. Live that way, and you will see the big difference. Big difference of walking in your light than walking in what the world demands you be. Okay? Much love, guys. We shall see you tomorrow. Spread your wealth.